Hi.
Hola.
Hi, hier ist Mr. Döse.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Nike TechCraft 2.0 Magista Obra 2s. Now inside the box, along with the shoes, you do get a string bag, black in color with black strings, and then you get the silver Nike TechCraft logo there on the front, and of course, you get the shoes themselves, which I have right here. Now, for those that don't know what these are all about, the TechCraft 2.0 pack is essentially a leather upper variation of the standard top-end models that wouldn't otherwise be leather. It does include the Legend 6. There are some differences to that shoe, but the main focus, I think, is on the shoes that aren't normally leather, like the Obra 2 that I have right here. So as you can see, it does have some similarities visually in terms of the shape of the shoe, the texturing on the upper, but the upper itself is an Allegria leather, which is a form of kangaroo leather, and you don't have the Flyknit base to the upper. So very different in terms of the experience that this is going to offer in comparison to a regular pair of Obra 2s, and of course we're going to go over all the details in today's video. So if you are interested in learning more, stick around. We'll talk about the tech specs, we'll talk about the weight, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. If you are interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below in the description. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $315 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, pop up on screen, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk tech specs and what makes the TechCraft 2.0 version of the Obra 2 different from a regular Flyknit Obra 2. Now obviously the TechCraft pack, it's not the first time they've done this. The original TechCraft pack included the original Nike Magista Obra, which essentially was a regular Obra with a very thin layer of leather on top. So you maintain the same Flyknit base and all the elements and structure and general feel that came along with that. So the feel of wearing a TechCraft Obra 1 was essentially just like wearing a regular Obra, but when you made contact with the ball, you noticed a little bit of extra padding that you had from the thin layer of leather that they placed on top. With the TechCraft 2.0 pack, they've changed that in that you're not getting a Flyknit base to the upper. The base of the upper is the leather material that you see here on the outside. The only Flyknit you're going to find on the shoe runs through the middle tongue area where the laces are positioned, and of course the dynamic fit collar, which is that elasticated Flyknit material you'd regularly find on an Obra 2. Everything else is leather, which is different. So the leather they've used here is called Allegria leather. We've seen this from Nike in the past, most notably on limited edition variations of the Tiempo Legend 5 and 6. On those shoes though, the leather is a little bit different in that it's more padded and just softer in general. This has a firmer, thinner sensation in comparison to any of those limited edition Legend models, but still the quality is very good. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, I probably did, but Allegria leather is a form of kangaroo leather for those that care at all. It doesn't really matter. The quality is quite good. They're pretty soft out of the box, and they're going to soften up significantly more as you wear them in. What's interesting is they have this embossed pattern on the very surface of the leather that does give it a very interesting, almost slightly gritty texturing to it. It has the kind of feel of almost like a suede type material, if that makes any sense, but the overall impact in terms of grip on the ball and just the general feel isn't overly significant. It's more of a visual thing than anything, but despite this upper not being Flyknit, they still have somehow been able to maintain that kind of 3D texturing aspect to the shoe itself. So you can see that the high kind of contact zones, as Nike has deemed it, right here on the lateral side of the forefoot and right through the midfoot, maintains that texturing where you have a variance in how the upper is raised from your foot. It's noticeable on the inside as well. And it's not really to the same extreme as what you're going to find on the Flyknit shoe, but it is still going to provide the same general feel and same general dampening effect that it does provide on the regular Flyknit Obra 2. So that in combination with this thin layer of leather is actually going to make for an experience that isn't too far off of a regular Obra 2. What is worth noting though is that you do lose out on the flywire cables with this TechCraft variation. So that's going to allow this particular model to stretch in width, which you're not necessarily going to get all that much of from the Obra 2. And of course, once the shoe is broken in, the leather softens up and forms to your foot, the general feel and just experience of wearing the shoe is going to be different from the Flyknit variation. But the Flyknit variation is still very comfortable, still a lot to offer. I don't think that the difference in terms of the overall experience is going to be that dramatic when comparing the two. The other thing that you do get on this shoe, as you would with the regular Obra 2, is ACC all conditions control. You can see the embossed branding right there here on the medial side. Everything else though, pretty much identical to a regular Obra. Lacing system is slightly off-centered, pushed to the medial side. You're going to get the Flyknit running through the middle, all elasticated of course, your dynamic fit collar, the internal plastic heel counter, the inside heel liner, that's a nice synthetic suede material, really soft as well. The insole fully removable. You can see it has the Nike TechCraft logo right there, but it's a standard mesh liner with the yellow foam base and the pour-on inserts there in the heel and forefoot area. And even underneath the insole, they added the little grip texturing, which difficult to see on camera because of the lighting situation, but I can assure you that there are little actual grips on the base of the underside of the sole plate right here and right here in the forefoot, and that's there mainly just to grip the underside of the insole and preventing it from sliding around on the inside of the shoe, which it seems to do pretty effectively. And then moving on to the sole plate, you're going to get the standard Obra 2 sole plate, decent flexibility to it, and of course the firm ground stud pattern, which as far as I know, the TechCraft 2.0 pack will be limited to the firm ground variation. There won't be an AG or soft ground pro model available, at least as of right now. I'm not sure if that'll remain forever or if future colorways will offer other stud patterns. I'm just telling you that as of right now for this particular pack, it's FG only. And as far as this stud pattern performs on firm natural grass, it works quite well. It's kind of a less aggressive variation of what you get from the Tiempos, in all honesty. Pretty similar in terms of feel. A little bit lower to the ground, perhaps a little bit more stable, I would say. But again, the experience is pretty similar. And it does get the job done. No issues with the stud pattern. It works quite well. And I think for most people, you're really not going to have any problems with it. So again, to sum things up, it's a leather upper variation of the Obra 2. I wouldn't necessarily say that the regular Obra is better or worse than this. It's kind of just something a little bit different. This is going to have a slightly softer feel, especially once broken in. It's going to have the ability to stretch. Not going to necessarily have the same lockdown just because it doesn't have the flywire cables and the leather material just isn't as structured as what you're going to find from that Flyknit. So again, it really comes down to what you're looking for. If you've always wanted a straight up leather version of the Obra 2, the Obra 2 with kind of a leather upper, almost the form factor of the Obra with a more traditional kind of simple leather upper. That's really what the TechCraft 2.0 Obra is. In terms of weight, I thought we'd compare the standard version of the Obra 2 to the TechCraft 2.0 leather model to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two given the upper variation. So I'm going to weigh both of them for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind they're both in brand new condition and both the exact same size, 9.5 US. We'll start off with the regular Obra 2, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.5 ounces, 7.55 to be exact, the equivalent of 214 grams. So remember those numbers, change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and throw on the leather TechCraft 2.0 model, and you can see that they weigh in at a little bit less, 7.2 ounces, the equivalent of 205 grams. So you're talking about a weight difference of 9 grams, which is, I would argue, pretty insignificant. The reason for them being a little bit lighter, I think has to do with this leather upper actually being a little bit thinner than the Flyknit one on the standard Obra 2. That aside, are you really going to notice 9 grams of weight on your feet? Not really. So if you are trying to pick between the leather and Flyknit variations of the Obra 2, I really don't think that weight should be the deciding factor. As far as the looks and general aesthetics of the shoe go, I think that TechCraft 2.0 Obras look really, really good. A lot of people aren't huge fans of kind of the heat mapping pattern on the Obra 2, and you lose that obviously with this TechCraft 2.0 pack, being that it is a solid black leather upper with that kind of embossed logo or embossed, I guess, texturing to it. I'm not sure what you would call that specific pattern. You find it across the entire pack, and it's actually a nice little detail that looks pretty cool in person. The color scheme, very, very simple. They went with pretty much black and metallic silver, a lot more black than silver. And again, low profile, sleek, clean, a little bit old school, I would say as well. And I think a lot of people who would be interested in this pack would probably want a colorway like this anyway. So I think it's a pretty good job in terms of the choice of color for at least the first version of the TechCraft 2.0. I expect there to be more of these released in the future in more colorways, as they did with the first generation TechCraft stuff. So you can see that the synthetic actual Nike swoosh, it's a synthetic material and it's flowing kind of underneath the leather itself. You can see that there's a seam that's kind of stitched around the actual leather. And I think the reasoning for that is that this is actually a continuation of the liner. They just cut it out to expose the swoosh itself. Black with a metallic silver outline, and then you have a solid silver swoosh right here on the medial side. Your Magista branding there at the back in silver with a synthetic leather piece right here at the heel over top. Kind of just as an accent, if you will. You have kind of the black and light gray within the Flyknit itself, extending into the laces area. Black laces, of course, and then black and metallic silver in the sole plate and stud pattern. So overall, very good looking shoe in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think though down below in the comment section. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit, feel, and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the TechCraft Obras on feet. On my left foot I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot I have a pair of metallic silver reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description of this video. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Now in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, in comparison to a regular Obra 2, you're gonna put them on and not necessarily immediately notice a huge difference. The shoe has the same general shape. The upper does feel a little bit thinner, I'll say. And for me, the big thing that I notice, especially when you pull the laces tight, is the lack of those flywire cables running through the midfoot. It's not that the shoe feels unsecure, it just doesn't have that same tightness through the midfoot that you get from the Flyknit variation, which can really be interpreted as a good or bad thing depending on what your preferences are. You could argue this is a little bit more comfortable, but you could also argue that the Flyknit version with those flywire cables is going to be a little bit more secure and a little bit more locked down. Again, kind of a trade-off you get between the Flyknit and the leather on this particular shoe. You kind of have to just pick what you want and what you like at the end of the day. As far as the leather itself is concerned, like I said, it is very thin. It doesn't have that super kind of plush softness that you would expect from something that is a kangaroo leather like you'll find on this entire pack. It's thin, it requires a little bit of time to break in, but it doesn't feel stiff out of the box by any means. Just take your time with the break-in process, especially considering this is a mid-cut model from Nike, and you shouldn't have too many issues. They'll soften up and feel a lot more comfortable after a few hours of wear. As far as the width of the shoe is concerned, the Obras as it is have a fairly I guess wider fit in comparison to other Nike models. It's very similar in width to that of the Tiempo line. And given that this is a straight up leather upper without those flywire cables, you are going to get some stretch out of the shoe. For the most part, these will fit most people. They're decently wide. If you have really wide feet, maybe not the best option, but like I said, they will be suitable for most people for sure in regards to width. And as far as sizing is concerned, just like the regular Obra 2s, they run a half size small. So instead of wearing my usual size 9 US, I bumped it up to a 9.5, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So again, they run a half size small. It's exactly the same sizing as the regular Flyknit variation of the Obra 2. So if you are looking to get a pair, I would recommend going a half size up. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the TechCraft 2.0 Nike Magista Obra 2. Again, if you guys are interested in a pair, you can click the little eye in the corner of the screen or the very first link down below in the description, and then I'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $315 retail price. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.